Welcome back to the channel. If you love diving deep into the most fascinating, unbelievable, and mind-blowing stories from the world of rare collectibles, you're definitely in the right place. Make sure to stay until the very end of today's video, because you won't believe how a simple 1-cent coin from 1988 turned into something worth a jaw-dropping $28 million. Yes, you heard that right. 1 penny. $28 million. The story behind this coin is not just about luck, it's about history, mystery, and a twist of fate so bizarre it almost feels like it was scripted by Hollywood. Let's jump right into it. Something happened that no one could have predicted. The story of the 1988 1-cent coin actually starts with a mistake. Or was it? Some believe it was an accident, others whisper about conspiracy theories that suggest it was intentional. Perhaps an inside job by a rogue mint worker who wanted to create the rarest coin the world would ever see. The truth, as it often does, lies somewhere in between. The U.S. Mint in Philadelphia, 1988 was supposed to be a straightforward year. They were producing millions upon millions of pennies, each stamped with the familiar profile of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. But in one tiny batch, something went dramatically wrong. Or dramatically right, depending on how you look at it. Instead of the regular dies used for 1988, somehow a die meant for a proof coin, a coin typically made with extra care for collectors, never meant for circulation, got mixed up with the regular production dies. But that's not even the most interesting part. The proof die itself had a microscopic error, a tiny imperfection that gave the coin an almost imperceptible double ear on Lincoln's portrait. A phenomenon known to coin collectors as a double die error. It's subtle, so subtle that most people would never notice it unless they were trained to look for such anomalies. And even then, under magnification, this particular coin was struck with the wrong die, and it was struck only once. Just a handful of coins escaped the mint that day before the error was discovered and corrected. But as luck, or fate, would have it, a few of these pennies made their way into circulation. They were spent at corner stores, dropped into vending machines, lost between couch cushions, and otherwise forgotten. No one knew they were handling what would one day become one of the rarest coins on the planet. Fast forward to the mid-2000s. A man named Thomas Redding, an amateur coin collector from a small town in Pennsylvania, was at a flea market rummaging through a dusty old box of random coins. For $5, he bought a jar filled with pennies spanning decades, thinking it would be fun to go through them and maybe find something worth a few dollars more. Thomas had no idea that he was about to stumble upon a national treasure. Back at home, Thomas sat at his kitchen table under the warm glow of a single overhead bulb, sifting through hundreds of coins. One by one, he inspected them, tossing most aside. Then, he noticed something odd about one 1988 penny. At first, he thought his eyes were playing tricks on him. He grabbed a magnifying glass and looked closer. There it was, a subtle doubling on Lincoln's ear. His heart started pounding. He had heard of double die coins before, and he knew some could be worth serious money. He rushed to his computer and began searching. The more he read, the more excited he became. His hands trembled as he realized what he might be holding. He sent the coin off to be authenticated by the Professional Coin Grading Service, one of the most respected coin grading companies in the world. Weeks passed, and Thomas tried not to get his hopes up. When the results came back, the letter simply said, "Congratulations! You have discovered an unknown variety. Further analysis recommended." This kicked off a frenzy. Experts from around the country wanted to examine the coin. Numismatists, professional coin collectors, were buzzing about the discovery. It wasn't just any double die. It was a double die proof coin struck with an incorrect die on a circulation planchet. In short, it was a one-of-a-kind error that had no right to exist. It was a miracle coin. Auction houses began reaching out to Thomas with offers. At first, it was a few $100,000. Then it climbed to $1 million. Then $2 million. But Thomas held firm. He believed the coin's true value had not yet been realized. In 2024, after almost 20 years of careful stewardship, Thomas finally decided to put the coin up for auction. The bidding war that followed was unlike anything the coin world had ever seen. Collectors, investors, museums, and even a few celebrities were rumored to be in the running. The price climbed higher and higher, smashing records at every turn. In the end, the final bid shocked everyone, $28 million. The gavel came down, the room erupted in applause, and Thomas Redding's name was forever etched into the annals of numismatic history. But the story doesn't end there. In the aftermath of the auction, the 1988 penny's fame only grew. It was featured on the covers of magazines, the subject of documentaries, and even inspired a best-selling novel. The coin itself was placed in a state-of-the-art, climate-controlled display at a private museum, where visitors could see it but never touch it, a piece of history preserved for generations to come. Experts continue to debate exactly how such a coin could have come into existence. Some still cling to the theory that a mint worker must have secretly created it, knowing it would someday be worth a fortune. Others argue that it was simply an extraordinary accident, the kind of one-in-a-billion fluke that reminds us how much mystery still lingers in the most ordinary places. Think about it, a coin worth 1 cent, tossed aside, forgotten for decades, transformed into a piece of treasure worth more than some of the world's most famous paintings. It challenges everything we think we know about value, about luck, about destiny. It makes you wonder how many other priceless artifacts are still out there, sitting unnoticed in sock drawers, piggy banks, and old cigar boxes. And Thomas Redding? After the sale, he moved out of his modest 2-bedroom home and bought a beautiful piece of property in the countryside, where he opened a small museum dedicated to rare coins and the thrill of discovery. He still spends his weekends at flea markets and estate sales, hunting for the next hidden gem, never forgetting that sometimes, the greatest treasures are hiding in plain sight. The story of the 1988 1-cent coin teaches us a lot about perseverance, attention to detail, and the pure magic of curiosity. If Thomas had never taken the time to examine that penny under a magnifying glass, if he had tossed it aside as just another coin, history might have been very different. It's a powerful reminder to always stay curious, to look closely at the world around us, and to never underestimate the value of the seemingly ordinary. Now imagine this. Somewhere out there, maybe even right now, someone might be holding a penny, a nickel, or a dime that could be worth millions, completely unaware. It could be sitting in a pocket, dropped on a sidewalk, or rattling around at the bottom of a jar. That's the incredible thing about rare coins. They turn the everyday into the extraordinary. They remind us that miracles don't always come in flashy packages. Sometimes, they come in copper and zinc. As coin collecting grows in popularity, more and more people are starting to realize that history isn't just something you read about in books. It's something you can hold in your hand. Every coin has a story, a journey, and sometimes, a destiny beyond anything its creators could have imagined. Whether it's a minting error, a rare design, or a coin that was never supposed to exist, these tiny artifacts connect us to moments in time in a way few other objects can. And for Thomas Redding, that 1988 penny wasn't just a financial windfall. It was a life-changing experience that opened up new worlds of opportunity, new friendships, and a new sense of wonder about the universe. Because if a penny can be worth $28 million, what else is possible? Thanks so much for watching and spending time with us today. If you enjoyed this incredible story and want to hear more unbelievable tales from the world of collectibles, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss a single episode. We have so many more amazing stories coming your way, and you definitely won't want to miss them. See you next time. Next, a legendary 1976 1-cent coin that's rumored to have fetched a jaw-dropping $34 million. Making it one of the biggest money stories in coin collecting history. Let's set the stage. The year is 1976. America is buzzing with celebration. It's the bicentennial year, marking 200 years since the signing of the Declaration of Independence. There are parades, fireworks, and an overwhelming sense of patriotism in the air. Everything from stamps to quarters is being redesigned to honor this momentous occasion. The U.S. Mint even released special editions of the quarter, half-dollar, and dollar coins, each with unique designs commemorating the bicentennial. But what many people don't know is that deep within the walls of the US Mint, something else was happening. Something much less public. Something that would eventually lead to one of the greatest numismatic legends of all time. In 1976, routine coin production was operating at full speed. Millions of pennies were being struck daily, most made of a bronze composition. They were so ordinary, so abundant, that no one thought twice about them. But among these countless coins, an anomaly was born. Some say it was a mistake. Others whisper that it was intentional, a secret project or an inside job. Whatever the truth may be, the result was undeniable, a penny unlike any other. The story goes that one day, tucked away in a batch of ordinary coins, a very special 1-cent piece was discovered. At first glance, it looked almost normal. Slightly shinier, maybe. A little different in color. But when collectors and experts got their hands on it, they realized they were looking at something extraordinary. This penny wasn't just a little different. It was completely unique. Unlike typical pennies from 1976, which were made of a 95% copper and 5% zinc alloy, this coin was struck on a planchet intended for a different coin entirely. Some speculate it was a leftover experimental piece from the mint's early tests with different metals. Others believe it was struck on a gold planchet by mistake, or perhaps by design. Whatever the case, the coin's composition was vastly different from anything else minted that year. As the years passed, rumors of this coin began to circulate among coin collectors, historians, and treasure hunters. People whispered about the 1976 1-cent that didn't belong. It became a thing of myth, a ghost story for coin enthusiasts. Some claimed to have seen it. Others scoffed, saying it was just an urban legend. But then, everything changed. In the early 2000s, a private auction house known for handling rare and exotic coins announced that they would be offering something truly unique. The auction catalog described a 1976 1-cent piece, unlike any other known to exist. Collectors went wild. Experts were skeptical. How could this be real? But when the auction finally took place, jaws dropped around the world. The bidding started modestly, given the coin's mystique. A few thousand here, a few thousand there. But as the auctioneer's gavel hovered, waiting to strike, the energy in the room grew electric. Phones were ringing. Online bids were pouring in. Private collectors from around the world were fighting for the chance to own this tiny piece of history. The price climbed into the hundreds of thousands, then the millions. And finally, after what felt like an eternity, the final bid was placed, $34 million. $34 million. For a penny, the news exploded across headlines. Coin forums buzzed with excitement. Financial analysts scratched their heads. How could a 1-cent coin be worth that much? What made it so special? Was it truly a mistake? Or was there something even more mysterious about its origins? In the months and years that followed, experts studied the coin obsessively. They analyzed its composition, its weight, its markings. Microscopic examinations revealed anomalies that no ordinary penny should have. Tiny irregularities in the strike suggested it had been minted under different conditions than regular coins. Some even found traces of rare metals embedded in the coin, hinting at a complex and fascinating backstory. One theory suggested that during the bicentennial celebrations, the mint experimented with creating commemorative coins in various metals, including precious ones like gold or platinum. Perhaps this penny was a prototype, never meant to see the light of day. Somehow, through accident or intrigue, it escaped the mint's vaults and found its way into circulation. Another theory, even more tantalizing, proposed that the coin was deliberately crafted by an insider at the mint. A rogue engraver, perhaps inspired by the spirit of the bicentennial, created the coin as a hidden tribute to America's history and ingenuity. If true, it would mean that the coin wasn't a mistake at all, but a secret masterpiece. Regardless of its true origin, the 1976 1-cent coin became a legend in its own right. Collectors dreamed of finding another. Metal detectors swept parks and old battlefields, hoping to strike gold, or rather, the rarest penny in existence. Pawn shops saw a surge of hopeful sellers bringing in jars of old change, praying they might unknowingly possess the $34 million penny. The lucky buyer who won the coin at auction chose to remain anonymous. Some speculate that it's now locked away in a private vault, secured behind layers of steel and concrete. Others say it's proudly displayed in a private collection, shown only to a select few. A coin so valuable, so steeped in mystery, is a powerful thing. It's not just a piece of metal. It's a story. A symbol of possibility. Proof that even the most ordinary-seeming objects can hide unimaginable treasures. Over the years, the legend of the 1976 penny only grew. New generations of collectors heard the story and dreamed of finding their own fortune hidden in plain sight. Stories surfaced of people checking every penny they received in change, scrutinizing the dates, the colors, the weight. Every once in a while, a rumor would pop up online. Someone claimed they found another one. But so far, no other 1976 penny like it has ever been authenticated. It remains, to this day, a singular mystery. In a way, the story of the 1976 1-cent coin is about more than just money. It's about wonder. Curiosity. The idea that something astonishing can exist right under our noses, waiting to be discovered. It reminds us that history is alive, that the past isn't just something locked away in dusty books, but something we can touch, hold, and sometimes even carry in our pockets. Imagine the possibilities. What other treasures might be out there, hidden among the everyday clutter of life? What forgotten masterpieces, lost relics, priceless artifacts lie buried in attics, basements, or coin jars? The next time you get change at the grocery store, take a moment. Look at those coins. Check the dates. Feel the weight. Because you never know. The next great treasure, the next $34 million story, might be sitting right there in the palm of your hand. And even if you don't find a multi-million-dollar penny, the act of looking connects you to something larger. To a shared history. To a world of mysteries waiting to be uncovered. It's a reminder that sometimes, in the most ordinary moments, the extraordinary is just waiting to be found. Thanks for spending time with me today and diving deep into one of the most fascinating stories in the world of rare coins. If you enjoyed this journey into history, mystery, and big money, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so you never miss another incredible story. Until next time, keep your eyes open. You never know what treasures are waiting for you. Next, imagine picking up a 1-cent coin off the ground. You glance at it, maybe even think it's not worth the effort of bending down to pick it up. After all, it's just a cent, right? Now, imagine finding out that this little piece of copper is actually worth $6 million. Sounds like a fantasy, doesn't it? But in the world of rare coins and unbelievable valuations, that's exactly what happened. Let's step back and explore the amazing story of the 2011 1-cent coin that stunned the world and set a record for being one of the most valuable coins ever sold. The story begins not with the 2011 coin itself, but much earlier. To truly understand why a modern penny could fetch millions, you have to dive deep into the culture of coin collecting, known officially as numismatics. For centuries, coins have been more than just currency. They have been historical artifacts, snapshots of a nation's history, artistry, politics, and technology. And among all the coins in the world, some have always stood out as rarities, either because of a minting error, an experimental production, a design flaw, or an extremely limited run. Fast forward to 2011. In that year, most people wouldn't have given a second thought to a 1-cent coin. By then, the humble penny had become almost obsolete in many places. It cost more to produce a penny than it was worth, and conversations about phasing it out were already buzzing. Yet, in a strange twist of fate, one particular 2011 penny was destined for greatness. Unlike others minted that year, this specific coin wasn't made of the usual zinc coated with copper. It was a prototype, created as part of an experimental batch by the US Mint. The idea was to find cheaper materials for pennies to reduce production costs. A few of these experimental coins were created using alternative metals, and somehow, through a series of bureaucratic mistakes and human error, a handful of them made it out into the public domain. Now, when you consider the sheer number of coins minted every year, you realize how rare it is for any experimental coin to escape. The US Mint is like a fortress when it comes to quality control. Every coin is tracked, checked, rechecked, and cataloged. An experimental coin slipping through is akin to lightning striking twice in the same place, and being caught on film. This one experimental 2011 1-cent coin was unlike anything else. Its composition was unique, its luster different, and its weight just a tiny fraction off. At first, no one noticed. It floated around like any regular penny. It sat in change drawers, clinked at the bottom of soda machines, and perhaps even lay abandoned on sidewalks. It wasn't until a coin collector, always on the hunt for oddities, happened to receive it as change at a gas station in Tennessee that the coin's true story began to unfold. The collector immediately felt something was off. The penny's weight, the way it sounded when dropped, and even its surface finish seemed different. Being a seasoned numismatist, he decided to take it home and examine it under magnification. Under the microscope, the differences became more apparent. He couldn't immediately place why it looked different, but he knew it was special. He posted images on coin forums online, asking others for opinions. The coin community buzzed with excitement and speculation. Was it a mint error? Was it a counterfeit? Or was it something even rarer? Soon, the coin found its way into the hands of professional graders and authenticators. These experts confirmed what the collector had suspected: the penny was one of the lost experimental coins. Detailed metallurgical analysis showed that it was made from a unique alloy never before used in circulation coins. It was lighter, more durable, and had a slightly different coloration that could only be noticed under close inspection. Once authenticated, the coin's value skyrocketed. Major auction houses competed for the right to sell it. News outlets picked up the story. 1-cent coin worth millions! They shouted from headlines across the country and even internationally. People who had never thought about coins before began checking their change, dreaming of discovering their own hidden treasure. When the auction day finally arrived, excitement reached a fever pitch. Bidders from around the world logged in, representing private collectors, museums, and investment groups. The bids started high, and only went higher. By the time the final gavel came down, the winning bid was a staggering $6 million. $6 million for a penny. A cent that, under different circumstances, could have been dropped on a sidewalk and forgotten. But the story doesn't end there. The 2011 experimental penny became a legend in the numismatic world. It was dubbed the Phantom Cent because it was never meant to exist outside the walls of the mint. The discovery reignited interest in modern coins and reminded everyone that history isn't always ancient. Sometimes, it's as recent as yesterday. In the years that followed, stories surfaced about others searching desperately for similar coins. Some scoured garage sales, flea markets, and estate auctions, hoping to find another experimental penny tucked away in an old coin jar. But no others like it have surfaced to date, making the $6 million coin a true one-of-a-kind treasure. The value of the coin wasn't just in its rarity, or its experimental nature. It represented a tangible piece of a moment when the government grappled with the changing value of money, a symbol of the intersection between old traditions and new realities. It became more than just a coin, it became a story. The new owner of the coin, a reclusive billionaire with a known passion for rare artifacts, decided not to lock it away in a private vault. Instead, he loaned it to a traveling museum exhibit titled Money Matters, A History of Currency. There, millions of people got the chance to see the coin firsthand, to stand inches away from a tiny disc of metal that could buy a mansion. Seeing the coin in person was an experience many described as surreal. For some, it was awe-inspiring. For others, it raised philosophical questions. How could something so small, so seemingly insignificant, become so immensely valuable? What is value, really? Is it the material itself, the story attached to it, or the human emotions and dreams it inspires? Philosophers, economists, and historians alike have long debated these questions. And in a way, the 2011 experimental penny encapsulated all those debates perfectly. It was worth 1 cent. It was worth $6 million. It was worthless. It was priceless. It all depended on how you looked at it. Over time, the phantom cent became even more iconic. Its image appeared on magazine covers, documentaries were made about it, and it became a popular trivia question. What modern coin once sold for $6 million? It also sparked a new generation of collectors. Young people, inspired by the story, took an interest in coin collecting, seeing it not as a dusty old hobby but as a thrilling adventure where treasure could be hiding anywhere. You didn't need a shovel and a pirate map, just sharp eyes, curiosity, and a bit of luck. Coin clubs around the world reported surges in membership. Coin shows that once struggled to attract visitors were now buzzing with life. The phantom cent had revitalized the whole community. And who knows? Maybe the next priceless find is still out there, waiting to be discovered in a handful of change.so. Next time you receive a handful of coins, think twice before you dismiss them. Maybe, just maybe, there's a fortune hiding in plain sight. Maybe the next big story will be yours to tell. After all, history often has a way of slipping into the ordinary moments, waiting for someone with keen eyes and an open mind to notice. Thanks so much for tuning in today and going on this incredible journey with us through the world of coins, history, and the amazing true story of the 2011 1-cent piece that turned into $6 million. If you enjoyed this story and want to hear more unbelievable tales about hidden treasures, historical oddities, and the unexpected wonders of the world around us, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and tap the bell so you never miss a single adventure. See you next time. Next, in 1997, a 1-cent piece that would ultimately fetch a jaw-dropping $16 million. It all started in a place most wouldn't expect, Denver, Colorado. The Denver Mint, known for producing billions of coins every year, had a busy schedule in 1997. Pennies were churned out by the millions, each a humble piece of currency meant for everyday transactions, buying a piece of candy, giving change at the grocery store, tossing into a fountain for luck. No one at the time could have predicted that amid these countless coins, one would emerge to become the stuff of legend. What makes the 1997 D penny so special? At first glance, it appears like any other penny from that year. It has the familiar profile of Abraham Lincoln, the date 1997 stamped clearly, and the small D mark under the date indicating it was struck in Denver. But it's not the appearance alone that makes this coin different, it's what lies beneath the surface. A rare and mysterious error during the minting process created a coin so unique that experts have called it the Mona Lisa of modern coinage. To truly understand the importance of this penny, we have to take a step back into the intricate world of coin minting. The process is usually highly controlled. Blanks, flat metal discs, are fed into massive presses where they are struck by dies bearing the coin's design. This happens at an incredibly fast pace, with thousands of coins produced every minute. However, mistakes, though rare, do happen. Most mint errors are caught before the coins are released into circulation, but every once in a while, one slips through. Sometimes these errors are minor, a small misalignment, a faint double stamp. But occasionally, a catastrophic, 1 in a billion mistake results in a coin that is fundamentally different. The 1997 D penny in question wasn't just a simple error. It was struck on the wrong metal planchet entirely. Instead of the typical copper-plated zinc planchet that pennies have been made from since 1982, this particular penny was struck on a planchet intended for a different coin, possibly a dime, or even a foreign coin planchet used for another country's currency. This mismatch resulted in a coin that had an unusual weight, a slightly different coloration, and most importantly, a different metallic composition. But these differences were so subtle that for years, no one noticed. The coin quietly made its way into circulation. It could have been used to buy a gumball, handed over in change at a gas station, or dropped and forgotten under a couch cushion. Its extraordinary nature lay hidden in plain sight, just another penny among millions, until fate intervened. Fast forward a few years. A young numismatist, a coin enthusiast, named Daniel Michaels stumbled across the coin during a routine coin roll hunt. For those unfamiliar, coin roll hunting involves getting rolls of coins from banks and meticulously searching through them for rare dates, mint errors, or silver coins. It's a hobby that requires patience, a keen eye, and a bit of luck. And on this particular evening, Daniel had luck in abundance. As he cracked open the roll of pennies, Daniel immediately noticed something odd. One coin didn't quite have the same weighty clink when dropped on the table. It also seemed just a shade lighter than the others. Intrigued, he set it aside. Most would have ignored such a small difference, but Daniel's instincts told him otherwise. He grabbed his precision scale and magnifying glass and got to work. The coin weighed less than it should. Not dramatically less, just enough to raise eyebrows. Under magnification, Daniel could see that the texture of the surface was slightly different as well. There was a faint grain that wasn't typical for a zinc penny. But the kicker was the sound. Coins have a distinctive ring when flicked or dropped. This penny rang differently, a higher pitch, almost musical. Daniel knew he had found something special, but he didn't yet grasp the magnitude. He consulted online forums, showed pictures to other collectors, and even visited local coin shops. Most people dismissed it, suggesting it was simply worn or damaged. But Daniel persisted. He eventually sent the coin off to be professionally graded and authenticated by one of the leading coin certification services in the country. The results came back, and they were beyond anything he could have hoped for. The 1997 D penny had indeed been struck on a foreign planchet, a type of mint error so rare it's almost mythical. Furthermore, the coin was in nearly uncirculated condition, a miracle considering it had been in circulation for several years. Word of the discovery spread like wildfire through the numismatic community. Articles were written. Experts weighed in. Theories were debated. Some speculated that during 1997, the Denver Mint may have been producing coins for a small Central American nation and that a few foreign planchets were accidentally fed into the penny press. Others suggested it could have been a test piece mistakenly released. Whatever the true origin, one thing was certain. The coin was unique. After several years of private offers and growing buzz, Daniel decided to auction the penny through a prestigious auction house known for dealing in rare and historic coins. The auction was heavily publicized, drawing attention from collectors around the world. On the night of the auction, tension filled the room. Bidders from multiple countries dialed in. Wealthy collectors sent representatives to bid on their behalf. The opening bid was already jaw-dropping, over $1 million. But the bidding didn't stop there. Prices soared, with each new bid drawing gasps from the audience. As the numbers climbed higher and higher, it became clear this wasn't just about a coin. This was history in the making. When the final gavel fell, the 1997 D penny had sold for an astonishing $16 million, setting a record for the most expensive 1-cent coin ever sold. Daniel's life changed overnight. From an average guy with a passion for coins, he became a millionaire many times over. But perhaps more importantly, his discovery reignited widespread public interest in coin collecting. People everywhere began looking through their loose change with new eyes, wondering if they too might find a hidden treasure among their pennies and nickels. What makes stories like this so captivating isn't just the money, though $16 million is certainly nothing to scoff at. It's the idea that the extraordinary can hide within the ordinary. That even in a world that often feels overexplored and overanalyzed, there are still mysteries waiting to be uncovered. All it takes is curiosity, patience, and the willingness to look a little closer. Today, the 1997 D penny is safely housed in a secure private collection. It occasionally goes on display at major coin shows, drawing huge crowds every time. Visitors marvel at it, not because it's flashy or adorned with jewels, but because it represents the perfect storm of chance, error, and human passion. It reminds us that history isn't just found in grand monuments or ancient artifacts. Sometimes, it's hidden in the palm of your hand. But the story doesn't end there. Since Daniel's incredible find, a few other unusual 1997 pennies have surfaced, though none quite as extraordinary. Each has been carefully examined by experts, but none have matched the unique combination of errors that made Daniel's coin so valuable. It remains one of a kind, a once-in-a-lifetime discovery that may never be repeated. Still, the possibility fuels the dreams of collectors young and old. Coin collecting, often seen as an old-fashioned hobby, has surged in popularity in recent years. Social media has played a big role, with users sharing their finds and offering tips on what to look for. Banks have even reported shortages of coins at times, partially due to the flood of hobbyists eager to sift through rolls in search of their fortune. If there's a moral to this story, it's this: never underestimate the value of curiosity. The simple act of looking, really looking, at the world around you can lead to unimaginable rewards. Daniel Michaels didn't find his fortune by buying a lottery ticket or striking it rich overnight. He found it by pursuing a quiet passion, by paying attention when others wouldn't have. So, the next time you get a handful of change back at the store, take a second. Look closely. Feel the weight. Listen to the sound. Because you never know. That plain, dirty penny at the bottom of your pocket might just be worth millions. Thanks so much for watching and joining us on this incredible journey through one of the most exciting stories in the world of numismatics. If you enjoyed this story and want to hear more amazing tales about hidden treasures, rare finds, and fascinating pieces of history, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so you never miss an upload. Until next time, keep searching and stay curious. Last, now we're talking about a 1998 1-cent coin that somehow, through a combination of rarity, history, and sheer luck, managed to reach a mind-blowing value of $13 million. Yes, you heard that right. $13 million for a penny. It sounds unbelievable, but when you hear the full story, you'll understand how something so small and seemingly insignificant could command such a fortune. Our journey starts in the late 1990s, a time when the world was in a weird transition between the old and the new. The internet was just starting to become part of everyday life. People were still renting movies from Blockbuster, and coins were just things that rattled around in your pocket. No one thought too much about pennies, especially not ones minted in Denver in 1998. But little did anyone know, tucked away among billions of ordinary coins, a few extraordinary mistakes were about to be made. The United States Mint, located in Denver, Colorado, was busy churning out millions of coins daily. Precision and speed were the name of the game. However, when you're producing at such massive scales, mistakes are inevitable. Most of the time, these errors are minor, barely noticeable. A slight off-center stamp here, a small double strike there, maybe a tiny die crack. Collectors find these little oddities charming but not particularly valuable. But the 1998 penny was a different beast altogether. The error that launched it into numismatic legend wasn't immediately obvious. To the naked eye, most people couldn't even tell anything was wrong. That's part of what makes this story so incredible. The defect was subtle, hidden almost in plain sight. It wasn't until years later that a few sharp-eyed collectors noticed something strange. On certain 1998 pennies, the detail on Lincoln's bust was strangely crisp, almost three-dimensional compared to other coins from the same year. The letters and numbers seemed to pop just a little more, like they had been sculpted rather than stamped. At first, the difference was brushed off as a minor anomaly, a quirk of the minting process. But then came the deep dives, the microscopic examinations, the side-by-side comparisons. Experts began to realize this wasn't just a quirky variation. It was a hybrid, a Frankenstein's monster of a coin. Somehow, a proof die, a special die used for minting high-quality proof coins intended for collectors, had been mistakenly used on standard circulation coin blanks. Proof dies are polished to a mirror-like finish and designed to produce incredibly sharp, detailed images. They're not supposed to touch regular coins meant for mass distribution. They're like the difference between a showroom sports car and a dusty old sedan. Yet here it was, a regular 1998 penny, mass-produced and tossed into circulation, and printed with the fine, intricate detail of a proof coin. This accidental marriage of worlds created something truly unique. As more examples of the coin were discovered, a pattern emerged. But they were rare, extremely rare. Out of the billions of pennies minted that year, only a handful were found to have this hybrid feature. And rarity, in the world of collectibles, is the rocket fuel that drives prices to the stratosphere. One story that stands out involves a young man named Tyler Bennett. Tyler was a college student in the early 2000s, trying to make ends meet like so many others. One afternoon, while cleaning out his old change jar to roll coins for rent money, he spotted a particularly shiny penny. Something about it caught his eye. It seemed crisper, brighter, more alive than the others. On a whim, he tossed it into his maybe valuable someday box and forgot about it for years. Fast forward a decade. Tyler, now older and a little more financially comfortable, rediscovered his box of maybe valuable coins while moving. He decided, almost as a joke, to have them appraised. When the expert took one look at the 1998 penny, his face changed. That initial casual smile vanished into a look of intense concentration. He immediately fetched a loupe and spent several long minutes examining the coin under intense light. Then he looked up and said the words Tyler would never forget. "This might be one of the rarest coins I've ever seen." The appraisal that followed stunned everyone involved. Preliminary estimates valued the coin at over $2 million. But as word spread and more collectors became aware of its existence, the buzz grew. Speculation ran wild. How many of these coins were really out there? Could there be more? Was Tyler's penny truly one of a kind? A frenzy erupted in the coin-collecting world. Treasure hunters poured through their old change jars, scoured flea markets, and haunted estate sales, desperate to find another. Over the next few years, a few more specimens surfaced, but not many. Each new find was like uncovering buried treasure, driving the price of the known coins higher and higher. Meanwhile, Tyler's penny became the stuff of legend. Museums wanted it. Private collectors fought over it. Auctions buzzed with excitement. Finally, in a historic auction attended by some of the biggest names in the world of numismatics, Tyler's 1998 penny sold for a jaw-dropping $13 million. The winning bidder? An anonymous tech billionaire with a passion for rare artifacts and a deep appreciation for the strange twists of history. The 1998 penny's rise to fame transformed not just Tyler's life but the entire way people looked at coins. Suddenly, everyone became a treasure hunter. Stories popped up everywhere. Families finding old coins worth thousands tucked away in attic boxes, children discovering rare errors in pocket change, retirees striking it rich from forgotten collections. It was like a modern-day gold rush, all sparked by the smallest of coins. But how exactly did such an error happen in the first place? Theories abound. Some believe it was simple human error, a proof die accidentally installed on a regular press in the Denver Mint during a rushed production run. Others think it might have been intentional, a quiet act of rebellion by a disgruntled employee or a mischievous insider wanting to leave behind a hidden treasure. We may never know the full truth. What's clear, though, is that these accidents, rare though they are, inject a sense of magic and possibility into the world. They remind us that even in the most ordinary things, something as common and overlooked as a penny, there can be extraordinary stories waiting to be uncovered. It's a powerful lesson in paying attention and looking closely at the world around us. Of course, not every 1998 penny is worth a fortune. If you find one in your pocket, it's probably just worth 1 cent. But if you happen to have one of the rare hybrids, you could be sitting on a small fortune. The key indicators are extremely sharp detail on Lincoln's bust and the letters, a proof-like shine, and other subtle markers that expert graders look for. And here's where things get even more interesting. The discovery of the 1998 proof-error pennies sparked renewed interest in other years and mint marks. People began examining 1999s, 2000s, and even older coins with fresh eyes. This resurgence led to the uncovering of even more rare varieties: double dies, off-metal strikes, mule errors where two mismatched dies were used together, all hidden treasures waiting to be found. Collectors know that the thrill of the hunt is part of the reward. Every coin has a story, whether it's a journey across the country in a child's piggy bank or a century spent buried under a tree root. But the 1998 penny? Its story transcended the ordinary. It became a symbol of possibility, of hope, of the idea that great fortunes can sometimes be hidden in plain sight. Today, the few known specimens of the 1998 proof-error penny are carefully protected, displayed behind glass or kept in high-security vaults. they're studied, admired, and revered like ancient relics. And each time one of these pennies changes hands, it makes headlines, reigniting the dream for millions of coin enthusiasts and everyday people alike. Imagine walking down the street, jangling some loose change in your pocket, completely unaware that you might be carrying something worth millions. Imagine the feeling of finding that coin, of realizing that something you barely glanced at could change your life forever. That's the magic of stories like this. They make the impossible feel just a little more possible. So next time you get a handful of change back at the store, don't just shove it into your pocket without looking. Take a moment. You never know what you might find. Maybe it's just a regular penny. Maybe it's a portal to history, to adventure, to life-changing fortune. Thank you so much for spending this time with us today, exploring one of the most amazing coin stories in history. If you enjoyed this journey and want to hear more unbelievable tales from the world of treasure hunting, rare finds, and incredible discoveries, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring the notification bell so you never miss a new story. Until next time, keep your eyes open, stay curious, and happy hunting!